നാരായണാഖിലഗുരു ഭഗവൻ നമസ്തേ ഗുരുവായൂരപ്പ. Pranamam to everyone who has joined. So we are continuing our discussion of our Narayaneeyam series. We are in our 13th session of our Narayaneeyam series. And in the last session, we were discussing Dashakam 7. So in this session, we will continue discussing Dashakam 7. We'll cover the last 5 slokas of Dashakam 7. We completed the first 5 in our last session. So before we start, we will have an invocation to Bhagavan.
Krishna Guruvayoorappa Sharanam Gajananam Bhutaganadisevitam Kapittajambu Bhalasara Bhakshitam Umasudam Shokavinashakaranam Namami Vikhneshwara Pankajam Shuklambaradharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chadurбhujam Prasannavadhanam Dhyayet Sarvavikhnopashantaye. Krishna Guruvayoorappa Sharanam. Narayana.
Anju, can you see this quite?
Not yet. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Narayana. So we are starting our session, the 13th session of our Narayaneeyam series, in which we will discuss Dashakam 7. As we know, Dashakam 7 is about Brahma's origin and how Brahmadeva got the divine darshan of Vaigunda, and then what happened after that is what we will see today. So in our last sessions, we'll have a quick recap of everything that we discussed in our last session in the first 5 slokas of Dashakam 7. So in the first 5 slokas, Bhattathiri described Brahmadeva's origin, Brahma's origin from a lotus, and Brahma originated from Bhagavan only. However, Brahma is not aware of that. Brahmadeva doesn't know his origin. What he sees around is only the causal waters, the Karana Jalam, and we discussed this. The Karana Jalam is the first creation from Bhagavan. So Brahma originates from Narayana. He sees only the causal waters around. So he doesn't know who he truly is, or he doesn't know about himself. He doesn't have an awareness of his true nature. And also he doesn't know his purpose also at that time. And we said that this Brahmadeva is predominantly of Rajoguna. Therefore, his intention is to do creation because of the predominance of Rajoguna. And so with that intention and with that vasana in him, he started doing creation on his own. So he started on by himself. He tried to do creation. However, he doesn't have the knowledge, the right knowledge for doing creation at that time. He didn't have the right knowledge, and also he didn't know about his true nature. His true nature is that of Bhagavan only. Bhagavan Narayana is the Antaratma of Brahmadeva, and therefore Brahmadeva is also known as Hiranyagarbha. So the Hiranyagarbha, Brahmadeva, and Hiranyagarbha technically also means Narayana, who is the Antaryami of Brahmadeva. However, Brahmadeva has no awareness of that. Therefore, he is unable to do creation on his own. He doesn't have the abilities, the knowledge, the intellectual knowledge, the skills, and also the true awareness of his true nature at this moment when he originated. So what happens? So even though he tried to do it on his own for several times and for a long period, he was unable to do it. So he is worried due to that. So his situation is that he is unable to do creation and is worried. And at that time, Bhagavan is now talking to Brahmadeva. So at that specific time, Bhagavan is now prompting Brahmadeva. And what does he say? Bhagavan in an ethereal voice. And the ethereal voice means like in an ashariri vak, he urges Brahmadeva to do penance. So he says, Taba Taba Idi to Brahmadeva. So he hears this ethereal voice which says Taba Taba. and which means that he has to do tabas. So Bhagavan urged or Bhagavan prompted Brahmadeva to do tabas. And what is tabas? We said this tabas is our effort, the effort that we need to put in to do any activity, to do any type of creation, or to gain knowledge, or to do anything that in this world we have to put our own effort. That is called tabas. So tabas is our effort of it. Just by doing tabas, we won't achieve anything. We also need Bhagavan's grace. So tabas plus Bhagavan's grace will be success. And just praying to Bhagavan without doing a tabas is also not going to give you fruits or give you success. That's why Bhagavan wants Brahmadeva to put in his own effort and also pray to him so that he knows his true nature. Brahmadeva should know who he truly is so that he can do creation, which is success for Brahmadeva. So we said what tabas is last session. Tabas is contemplating with a vision, with a darshan or a philosophy. We have to contemplate on what we want to achieve. For that, we need single-pointed focus. So in this, the single-pointed focus is Brahmadeva should be focusing on himself, his true nature, which is Bhagavan, whom he has not seen yet. So with single-pointed focus, he has to contemplate, and this requires discipline. This requires purity of your body, mind, and speech. And also this has to be done in inner silence. Silence here means you are not staying silent. It is you're still performing all actions. You're performing all your actions with intelligence, putting our best effort into the process, but we are not attached to it, and we are doing it as a total surrender to Bhagavan. So that is the inner silence needed. So with inner silence, with discipline, Bhagavan prompts Brahmadeva to do contemplation or tabas in a single pointed focus. So Brahmadeva understands the meaning of it, and then he performs penance. And it's said that he does it for thousands of years, which means that for a time period that we cannot imagine, Brahmadeva continues to do tabas, right? And he contemplates on his inner self, which is Bhagavan only, and he does that for a long period. So after this penance, Bhagavan is so what is happening now? Brahmadeva is putting his effort, and with Bhagavan's grace he's also praying to Bhagavan, and with that Bhagavan is now showing Brahmadeva. So with after that tabas is fulfilled, Bhagavan shows his Vaikunta Rupam to Brahmadeva. So that is what was described in the last two slokas. Bhagavan shows him to Brahmadeva his Vaikunta Rupam. What is this Vaikunta Rupam? Vaikunta Rupam is a state of realization where we are one with Bhagavan. So it is a state where there are no limitations. It's a state of no fear, no limitations. You are no more held by any bondages. You understand that we are that Bhagavan only. That Antaratma in us is that Bhagavan only. So that realization, that state of realization is called Vaikunta, a state where there is no Kundada, that is Vaikunta. So that Rupam, Vaikunta Rupam of Bhagavan was shown to Brahmadeva, and Brahmadeva witnesses Bhagavan's Vaikunta Rupam, which is mentioned as pure consciousness, the Pragashatmage. That's how Bhattathiri described it. Parama Jyoti Pragashatmage, which is like resplendent in terms of the pure consciousness, and also it is Sandrananda Chari. That was the word Bhattathiri used. It is of the same word as Sandranandava Bodhatmagam, which is intense bliss, pure bliss. So Bhagavan's true nature, which is of pure bliss and pure consciousness, which is Bhagavan, the Brahman, that was shown, that Vaikunta Rupam of Guruvayoorappan was shown to Brahmadeva. And what else did Brahmadeva see? At Vaikunta, he also saw the divine beings who are at who have reached the state of realization at Vaikuntham. And these divine beings, because of their karmas and because of their devotion to Bhagavan, they have achieved this state. And he said that these divine beings all have very similar form as Bhagavan. So they look very similar to Bhagavan. Their appearance and their behavior is similar to Bhagavan. And you also saw that there are beings who reside in resplendent aerial cars, so aerial vimanams. So all that, the beauty of Vaikuntham was described by Brahmadeva in the last sloka, fifth sloka. And he was amazed seeing all that beauty and all that grandeur. And he is continuing his description in the next sloka. Bhattathiri is continuing Brahmadeva's experience in the next slokas, and through that Bhattathiri is also experiencing Vaikuntham at Guruvayur. That is what is happening. So we'll see that. So what all Brahmadeva sees next, that's what we will cover from the sixth sloka of Dashakam 7. So we'll start off with the sixth sloka.
नानादिव्यवधूजनैरभिवृता विद्युल्लतातुल्यया विश्वोन्मादनहृद्यगात्रलतया विद्योदिता शान्तरा त्वत्पादाम्बुजसौरभैककुतुका लक्ष्मी स्वयं लक्ष्यते यस्मिन् विस्मयनीय दिव्यविभवम् तत्ते पदं देहि मे. അനേകം ദിവ്യ സ്ത്രീകൾ ചുറ്റും നിന്ന് സേവിച്ചുകൊണ്ടും എല്ലാവരെയും മോഹിപ്പിക്കുന്ന മിന്നൽക്കൊടി പോലുള്ള മനോഹരവും കോമളവുമായ ശരീരം കൊണ്ട് ദിക്കെല്ലാം തിളക്കിക്കൊണ്ടും ലക്ഷ്മി ദേവി നിന്തിരുവടിയുടെ പാതാരവിന്ദങ്ങളുടെ സൗരഭ്യത്തിൽ അത്യാസക്തയായി എവിടെ പ്രത്യക്ഷമായി കാണപ്പെടുന്നുവോ അത്ഭുതമുളവാക്കുന്ന ദിവ്യവസ്തുക്കളുള്ള നിന്തിരുവടിയുടെ ആ ലോകം വൈകുണ്ഠം എനിക്ക് നൽകണമേ.
So Bhattathiri is now describing what Brahmadeva sees next, and Brahmadeva is now seeing the divine form of Lakshmi Devi. So in this sloka 6, Bhattathiri is describing the description of Lakshmi Devi who is at Vaikundam. So and Brahmadeva is witnessing Mahalakshmi there. So he says, Yasmin, in this Vaikunda that we just described in the last several slokas, Yasmin, in this Vaikunda, and he's describing about Mother Lakshmi. So he says, Lakshmi, the Mahalakshmi, Lakshmi Devi, who is the mother of this universe, who is mother of all the beings in the universe, because Lakshmi Devi is Bhagavan's own power only. Bhagavan's own creative power is Lakshmi Devi, and Lakshmi Devi always resides next to Bhagavan, always will be attached to Bhagavan. And we have seen that in the first Dashakam also. So Lakshmi Devi will be always there, and in this Vaikundam, Brahmadeva is witnessing that. Brahmadeva is seeing Mahalakshmi. And how is he seeing the Lakshmi Devi? He says, Nana Divya Vadhu Janaihi. Lakshmi Devi is surrounded by numerous divine maidens, or people who are there to serve Bhagavan and Lakshmi Devi. So there are several maidens there in Vaikundam who serve Lakshmi Devi. And Lakshmi Devi is there to serve Bhagavan's own creative power, his consort. So Lakshmi Devi is there serving Bhagavan, and to serve Lakshmi Devi, there are several maidens or apsarastris in Vaikundam. That is what Brahmadeva is seeing. Abhivrada, who is attended on. So Mother Lakshmi is attended on by these divine beings who are there to help her and serve her at Vaikundam. So Brahmadeva is seeing that, and through Brahmadeva, Bhattathiri is also witnessing it. Bhattathiri is also experiencing it. And now in this next several slokas, Bhattathiri is going to describe Lakshmi Devi's form, how she looks, and why she is devoted to Bhagavan. He describes that in the next couple of slokas. He says, Vidyut Lada Tulyaya, this Lakshmi Devi is like a streak of lightning. So if you see rain bearing clouds, or the clouds which are about to rain, and you see a streak of lightning that suddenly comes, which is very beautiful, which is a very beautiful view, and it is it captivates us, that view, right? It is like that. So he says the description of Lakshmi Devi to be like that. It is like a streak of lightning, and that is how Lakshmi Devi is, because it's so powerful, and you can see that her radiance is there everywhere. So it's like a streak of lightning, and the streak of lightning, we know that it is, when we see it, it is like very slender. We don't see it to be like really big. We see it to be very slender. So he's comparing Lakshmi Devi to be like a streak of lightning, and he says, Vishwa Unmadana Hridya Gatra Ladaya. And it is said that she is slender. So Lakshmi Devi is very slender. Her features are like she's slender around her hip. And it is said in Shastras that that's the feature of any perfect being. So her description is that she's very slender, like a streak of lightning. Just like how we see a streak of lightning, she's very slender and powerful. And also and that's why she's compared to Lada Tulyaya. Lada Tulya means, and again Gatra Ladaya. Lada means a creeper, right? Lada refers to plants which are creepers, and those creepers, if you know, they climb other plants or other structures, and they are very slender in shape, right? They look very slender. And Lakshmi Devi is also very slender and is like a streak of lightning. Therefore, he is comparing Brahmadeva, Bhattathiri through Brahmadeva is comparing Lakshmi Devi as a lightning and who is slender. And he says, Vishwa Unmadana Hridya Gatra Ladaya. So it's like who is slender and her form is so beautiful. Lakshmi Devi's form is so beautiful that it captivates everyone in the universe. So everyone in the universe will be attracted to her, So that's why he says Vishwa Unmadana Hridya. Everyone, in every being in the universe will get captivated by the form of Lakshmi Devi. And this Lakshmi Devi resides next to Bhagavan only, Narayana only. And so he says, how is that form reflecting? He says, Vidyodit Ashandara, and that Lakshmi Devi, who is like a streak of lightning, she is illuminating the whole quarters. That entire area of Vaikundam is illuminating because of Lakshmi Devi's presence. And Lakshmi Devi is Bhagavan's Maya, Bhagavan's creative power. So it's the power of Bhagavan. So again, Lakshmi Devi is not at all different from Bhagavan. And she is also illuminating the Vaikundam, and her presence is doing that. So Bhattathiri further says, Lakshmi, so this is referring to Mother Lakshmi till now, Lakshmi, Twat Pada Ambuja Saurabhaiga Kudugad. And why is Lakshmi Devi there? Why is she in Vaikundam? Because of her attachment to the fragrance of thy lotus feet. So we said this in first Dashakam also. Lakshmi Devi cannot be separated from Bhagavan. She only sits next to Bhagavan, or she is always associated with Narayana, and that is her place of residence, right? And that's for in the first Dashakam, Bhattathiri said, she has a name that she is fickling. That means she will not stay with anyone because she has to always stay next to Narayana, so she will not stay forever with anybody. And he further says that's actually not a right way, because anyone who chants Narayana or always are in association with Narayana, for them Lakshmi Devi will be there with them always, right? That is something he said in the first Dashakam. So, but here also it's being described. Lakshmi Devi is always attached to Bhagavan's lotus feet. Bhagavan's lotus feet is the ultimate destination. That is the ultimate goal for anyone. That is where we all have to reach, right? And Lakshmi Devi is always there. She resides at that lotus feet. So therefore, her attachment to Bhagavan, because of her love to Bhagavan, she is always attached to Bhagavan, and she resides at Bhagavan's lotus feet. And this is what what Brahmadeva is witnessing. So he says, Lakshmi Swayam Lakshyade. You can see Lakshmi Devi herself, because she is such a, it's like, we seeing somebody who is a celebrity, and that celebrity person is there, right? So, and Brahmadeva is witnessing that. So he's saying, Mother Lakshmi herself is seen in this loga, serving Bhagavan, and because of her attachment to Bhagavan's lotus feet. So that is what Brahmadeva is witnessing, and Bhattathiri is also witnessing it through Brahmadeva as he describes this Dashakam. So he says, Tvat Pada Ambuja Saurabhaiga Kudugat, that was the word, and that is Bhagavan's Padam, and it is the attachment. Lakshmi Devi is attached to the fragrance of Bhagavan's lotus feet. Bhagavan's feet is like a lotus. And what does lotus represent? Lotus represents purity. Here lotus is symbolic. So lotus represents purity, the ultimate purity, which is Bhagavan. Bhagavan is the most pure one. And the features of a lotus, like the smell of the lotus, the color of the lotus, the tenderness of the lotus, the freshness, and all other features of a lotus represents Bhagavan only, the Brahman, the absolute consciousness. That's why everywhere when Bhagavan is described, there will be a lotus, because that lotus describes a quality which is, if you see lotuses, they will be in swampy areas, but they will not be attached to the dirt around. It will always stand out of all the impurities around it. It will be completely pure, standing out of all the impurities. That's why Bhagavan is always compared with lotus, and here lotus represents complete purity, which is Bhagavan, and Bhagavan is not also attached to anything. Therefore Lakshmi Devi will only stay with him. That is something again described in the first Dashakam. Lakshmi Devi will only stay with somebody who doesn't have any other desires, who doesn't have any attachments, so therefore Bhagavan is the only one with whom Lakshmi Devi will always reside, and that is described here as Lakshmi Devi residing next to Bhagavan due to her attachment to Bhagavan's lotus feet, where the feet of Bhagavan represents our ultimate goal, the goal that we all need to seek for, and that lotus represents the purity of Bhagavan. So that is what was seen by Brahmadeva. So Bhattacharya further continues what he's seeing. So now he's seeing Lakshmi Devi there, and he says in this slogam 6, he says, Vismayaniya Divya Vibhavam, this Vaikundam that he is now witnessing. Earlier he saw Bhagavan's Vaikunda Rupam, he saw the other divine beings in Vaikundam. Further, now he is seeing Lakshmi Devi herself there in Vaikundam. And that Lakshmi Devi, the presence of Lakshmi Devi made him, so he's very much surprised and, amazed by seeing Lakshmi Devi. So he says, Vismayaniya Divya Vibhavam, this Vaikundam, which is having Bhagavan and Lakshmi Devi, and therefore it is astounding divine riches and beauty. So it is fully effulgent with beauty and radiance because Bhagavan and Lakshmi Devi both are there, right? So therefore it is mentioned as Vismayaniya. That means it is a Vismayam. Vismayam means something that we cannot fully, it's something that we cannot fully describe because it is as beautiful. So it's as beautiful. Therefore, Brahmadeva cannot even describe it. That is why it's said to be Vismayaniya. So Vismayaniya Divya Vibhavam, which is this Vaikundam, where Bhagavan resides. And again, this Vaikundam is a state of realization that we can achieve through devotion to Bhagavan with single pointed focus. That is what Brahmadeva attained. That Vaikundam, Bhattacharya further says, that Vaikundam that Brahmadeva received now, that Vaikundam, Tat Te Padam, that abode of thine, Bhagavan's abode, which is Vaikundam, Dehi me, deign to give me. He is praying to Bhagavan that grant me that abode that you just now showed to your son Brahmadeva. Bhattacharya is also now praying to Guruvayoorappan to show him that abode or grant me that abode of yours, that residence of yours. And so that was the prayer to Guruvayoorappan by Brahmadeva. Again, these sloga and the coming slogas are very divine slogas describing the Vaikundam and Vaikunda Rupam of Bhagavan. So, so the beauty of it is captured here in these slogas. So that was what was described in the 6th sloga of Dashakam 7. Now in the next several slogas, Bhattacharya will be describing what else Brahmadeva saw. So in this sloga, Bhattacharya only described Lakshmi Devi. He didn't spoke about Bhagavan. So in the next sloga onwards, Bhattacharya is going to talk about Brahmadeva's vision of Bhagavan himself. So he says that in next sloga, sloga 7.
तत्रैवं प्रतिदर्शिते निजपदे रत्नासनाध्यासितं भास्वत्कोटिलसत्किरीटकटकाद्याकल्पदी प्राकृति श्रीवत्साङ्गिदमातकौस्तुभमणिच्छायारुणं कारणम् विश्वेषां तव रूपमैक्षदविधिस्तत्ते विभो भातु मे. ഇപ്രകാരം കാട്ടിക്കൊടുത്ത ആ വൈകുണ്ഠലോകത്തിൽ തൻ്റെ സ്ഥാനത്ത് രത്നസിംഹാസനത്തിൽ ഇരുന്നരുളുന്നതും സൂര്യസമൂഹം പോലെ ശോഭിക്കുന്ന കിരീട കടകാദികളായ ആഭരണങ്ങളാൽ മിന്നിത്തിളങ്ങുന്നതും ശ്രീവത്സ ചിഹ്നം ചേർന്നതും കൗസ്തുഭരത്ന പ്രഭ കൊണ്ട് തുടുത്തതും എല്ലാറ്റിൻ്റെയും കാരണവുമായിട്ടുള്ള നിന്തിരുവടിയുടെ രൂപം ബ്രഹ്മാവ് കണ്ടു. സർവവ്യാപിയായ ഗുരുവായൂരപ്പ, നിന്തിരുവടിയുടെ ആ രൂപം എനിക്ക് തെളിഞ്ഞു തോന്നണമേ.
So in this sloga, Bhattacharya is describing Brahmadeva's vision of Bhagavan himself, Bhagavan Narayana, Bhagavan Guruvayoorappa. So this is the first sloga when Brahmadeva or Bhattacharya is actually describing what Brahmadeva really saw. So he says, Evam Pradidarshide, revealed in this manner. So Bhagavan who showed his Vaikunda Rupam to Brahmadeva, so it is revealed to Brahmadeva by Bhagavan, revealed in this manner. Tatra, in that Vaikunda, Tatra is this place, this abode, which is Vaikunda, which is Nijapade, in thy abode. So Vaikundam is Bhagavan's own abode. So Bhagavan's abode is Bhagavan's seat. This is where Bhagavan stays. And therefore, this is the eternal world. So Vaikundam is the world that is beyond this 14 worlds, right? We said this in the last session. The 14 worlds are subjected to creation sustenance and dissolution. So it is subjected to change. It will always change. That is the universe where we reside and that we experience. And the other logas, the 14 logas of the Brahmanda, they are subjected to change due to Bhagavan's Maya. But this Vaikundam is beyond that. Vaikundam is the Advaita Bhavam, right? It is one with Bhagavan. And in that logam, there is no birth, there is no death, there is no cycle of those events. And therefore, it is an eternal world. And therefore that is the Nijapadam, that is the abode, the Nijapadam, the abode where Bhagavan stays, the eternal world. And what does he witness there? What is Brahmadeva witnessing in this eternal world? He sees Bhagavan. And how is he seeing Bhagavan? Ratna Asana Adhyasidam. Bhagavan is seated on a throne which is studded with gems. So he is again describing the resplendence of what he sees in Bhagavan and what he sees in Vaikundam. And these gems, all of this represents the effulgence of that state of realization. The state of realization is you are one with Bhagavan, the supreme consciousness, and therefore it is the most effulgent state, because that you know that you are that Bhagavan only. So therefore it is described as resplendent with gems and all types of glories. So he's seated on a throne which is studded with gems. He's now seeing Bhagavan for the first time. Brahmadeva is seeing Bhagavan. Now what he says, he now describes the features of Bhagavan. Bhattathiri through Brahmadeva is describing the features. He says, Bhaswat Kodi Lasat Kirida Kadagadi Agalpa Agrida. So Bhaswat Kodi Lasat Kirida Kadaga Adi Agalpa Agrida. So this is similar to one of the slokas we have seen in the second Dashakam, where Bhattathiri said Suryaspardi Kiridam, where Bhattathiri was describing Bhagavan's Keshadi Pada Varnanam, and he described Bhagavan's Kiridam, the crown. It is very similar to that. He says Bhaswat Kodi Lasat. He sees Bhagavan in a crown, with a crown, and that crown is shining, and also other ornaments. Bhagavan is sitting in that throne, and the Rubam of Bhagavan is the same Rubam of Guruvayoorappan. What Brahmadeva is witnessing there in Vaikundam, the Rubam, is the same Rubam of Guruvayoorappan that we see at Guruvayur. And therefore, you can directly compare those two Rubams. That's why we have a picture of Guruvayoorappan here. And that same Rubam is what Brahmadeva is also witnessing. This Bhagavan's Vaikunda Rubam, Bhagavan is shining with a crown and other ornaments, other like bracelets and other ornaments, and they are all highly splendid, like innumerable suns. As if innumerable suns are radiating, Bhagavan is radiating. So what does that mean? Bhagavan's radiance is what is radiating in these ornaments, and the crown and everything is radiating because Bhagavan is wearing it. And that radiance cannot be compared. We can never quantify that radiance. And it is therefore said that it is in order to describe it, Bhattathiri is using the term of a splendor of innumerable suns. Several suns are blazing. That kind of radiance is what Brahmadeva is now witnessing at Vaikundam. And this is the very similar sloga that Bhattathiri used to describe Guruvayoorappan's idol. When he saw Guruvayoorappan's idol in Guruvayur, in the second Dashakam, he said the same, very similar Surya Spardi Kirida sloga that describes Bhagavan's Rupam at Guruvayur. Same sloga is being used here. That is what Brahmadeva is witnessing. Further, what does he say? He sees Srivatsa Angidam. Bhagavan is bearing the Srivatsa mark on his chest. So Bhagavan is now seated on a throne and Brahmadeva is witnessing him. He's wearing lot of ornaments and a crown and other ornaments which are all radiating with splendor, which cannot be compared, which is like innumerable suns. And on his chest he sees the Srivatsa mark. Srivatsa mark is a mark that Bhagavan adorns. We will see the story later. It is a mark that was created by Bhrigu Maharshi, and Bhagavan wears it on his chest. And this Srivatsa is where, it's also said, this is where Lakshmi Devi also resides, on his chest. So Srivatsam Angidam, bearing the Srivatsa mark on his chest, on thigh chest. That is what Brahmadeva is now witnessing. And through Brahmadeva, Bhattathiri is also witnessing that form of Guruvayoorappan. Further, what does Brahmadeva see? He says, Atta Kaustubha Mani Chaya Arunam Bhagavan has a slightly crimson color, made crimson. You can see crimson is kind of reddish color. It's a crimson red. So made crimson by the luster of the Kaustuba gem that is worn around the neck. So Bhagavan wears a gem, mani, which is Kaustuba. And that Kaustuba mani has the radiance of a crimson hue. It creates a crimson hue. It has that color. So that makes a crimson color around him. So, and Brahmadeva is witnessing that. Atta Kaustuba mani Chaya Arunam, made crimson by the luster of the Kaustuba gem that is worn around Bhagavan's neck. And then he says, this Bhagavan is Karanam Vishvesham. He is the source of all creation. So Brahmadeva is now witnessing the real source of all creation. When he started, he didn't know his true nature. He didn't know who created him. Now he is witnessing the source of all creation, which is Guruvayoorappan. So seeing that form, that's why Bhattathiri uses Karanam Vishvesham, the Karanam of the cause of everything that we see around. And we know that we have said this, there is a cause, which is Bhagavan, and the effects, which is what we see around. But technically, the cause and effect all are same. So that is the Advaita Bhavam. That means whatever we see around is Bhagavan only. It's all Bhagavan's body. Right? That's why we say that it is Advaitam. That is, there is only one. The cause and effects are attributions that we make, and therefore there is only Bhagavan. However, he is the source of all creation, the cause, right? So therefore there is Dvaitam and Advaitam coming here. So Karanam Vishvesham, the source of all creation, which is Guruvayoorappan, that is being described, that is being witnessed by Brahmadeva. What else? He says, Tavaruvam, that form of Guruvayoorappan, Aikshada Vidhi. Vidhi is Brahma. Vidhi means Brahma, Deva. Vidhi, Kaha, these are all words used to describe creation and Brahmadeva. Tava Rupam, this form, Aikshada Vidhi, Brahma, that Brahmadeva saw. Bhattathiri is now praying to Guruvayoorappan. He says, Hey Vibho, O Lord, O all-pervading Lord, Tatte Bhadume, may that form of thine be revealed to me. So this form of yours that you now showed to Brahmadeva, and this Brahmadeva is your own son. Bhagavan's son is Brahmadeva, originated from Bhagavan only, and therefore Brahmadeva is Bhagavan's son. And I am also your son, right? Bhattathiri and all of us are Bhagavan's children only. So, so Brahmadeva or Bhattathiri's prayer to Guruvayoorappan is, you showed this form of yours to your son Brahmadeva. May this form of yours be revealed to me also, because I am also your son, and I am also suffering, and I am also praying to you with single point focus and devotion. So please show that form of yours to me also. So in this, all these last sloka and this sloka, in each of these slokas, Bhattathiri is ending it with a prayer to Guruvayoorappan, where he is describing the Vaikunta Rupam and his desire to attain that Vaikunta Rupam. Vaikunta is what he is describing in these slokas. So that was what Bhattathiri described in Sloka 7, where he describes the Bhagavan's Vaikunta Rupam that Brahmadeva saw seated on a throne with all the features. In the next sloka, further Bhattathiri continues what Brahmadeva is seeing there. So we move on to sloka 8.
कालाम्भोदकलाय कोमलरुचि चक्रेण चक्रं दिशाम् आवृण्वानमुदारमन्दहसिदस्यन्धप्रसन्नाननम् राजत्कम्बुगदारि पङ्कजधर श्रीमद्भुजामण्डलम् स्रष्टुस्तुष्टिकरं वपुस्तव विभो മദ്രോഗമുദ്വാസയേത്. സർവശക്തനായ ഭഗവാനെ, കാർമേഘം പോലെയും കായാമ്പു പോലെയും കോമളമായ കാന്തി പടലം കൊണ്ട് ദിക്കുകളെല്ലാം മൂടുന്നതും സുന്ദര മന്ദഹാസം പൊഴിയുന്ന തെളിഞ്ഞ മുഖത്തോടു കൂടിയതും വിളങ്ങുന്ന ശംഖചക്ര ഗദാപത്മങ്ങൾ ധരിച്ച 4 തൃക്കൈകളുള്ളതും ബ്രഹ്മാവിന് സന്തോഷം നൽകുന്നതുമായ നിന്തിരുവടിയുടെ തിരുവുടൽ എൻ്റെ രോഗത്തെ ദൂരീകരിക്കണമേ.
So Bhattathiri is further describing Bhagavan's Rupam here. And this Rupam is the same Rupam of Guruvayoorappan that Bhattathiri is now directly seeing at Guruvayur. So we can all think of that Rupam now as we are describing this sloka. So he says, Hey Vibho, O all-pervading Lord, Bhagavan, who is the one who is pervading everywhere. Whatever we see around is Bhagavan only, his body only. So, hey Vibho. But then he says, Kala Amboda Kalaya Komala Ruji Chakrena. Kala Amboda Kalaya Komala Ruji Chakrena. Bhagavan's splendor, which is like Kala Amboda, which is like dark clouds, dark rain bearing clouds. So Bhagavan's nature, radiance, Bhagavan's color is similar to that of dark rain bearing clouds, which we have said this again. This is also something that we have said in the first Dashakam, but it is mentioned it in the first Dashakam. Dark rainbow bearing clouds. So if you see dark rainbow bearing clouds, they have a beauty in it, right? They have a specific beauty in it. What does all of this mean? The beauty, the essence of all things that we see around as beautiful, that is Bhagavan only. The essence in each of these beautiful things that we see is Bhagavan only. That is the meaning. And the splendor is, Bhagavan's splendor is like dark clouds, the rain bearing clouds that which are beautiful, and like Kalaya flowers, blue lily flowers, which are Kayambu flowers, which have a violet bluish color, right? If you see Kayambu flowers like this blue lily, they have a violet bluish color, and this violet bluish color is the color of Bhagavan's. We'll see it later. At Sahasraram, when we experience Bhagavan, this is the color that is described of Bhagavan. So that color is what Brahmadeva is now seeing, because Brahmadeva is now witnessing Bhagavan. So that color is what Brahmadeva is witnessing. And this is described in the first Dashakam also, if you remember. Bhattathiri said, Tatte Pratyagra Dharadhara Lalita Kalayavali Kelikaram. So Bhagavan's Rubam is like Pratyagra Dharadhara, which causes delight, just like rain bearing clouds. And it is Lalita Kalayavali Kelikaram. It is like a bunch of, it is like a sequence of beautiful kalaya flowers kept together, kayambu flowers kept together, right? And this again, we will see it in the last Dashakam also, where Bhattathiri describes it. But Brahmadeva is witnessing that form of Guruvayoorappan with the color of dark clouds and kayambu flowers. Now he says that Rupam of Guruvayoorappan that Brahmadeva is now witnessing. How is it? He says, Disham Chakram Avrinvanam, that form of Guruvayoorappan that Brahmadeva is now witnessing, it is illuminating, that is shining, it is illuminating, it is radiating with its splendor in all the directions. It's Bhagavan is illuminating in all the quarters at Vaikundam, at all the directions, and that is what Brahmadeva is seeing, which means that he is the radiance everywhere. Whatever we see around as radiating and illuminating, that is Bhagavan only. And how is that form? That form is, he's now talking about Bhagavan's face. He says, Udara Manda Hasida Syanda Prasannananam. That face of Bhagavan's face is very bright. It is brightened by a very charming smile. Bhagavan has a very charming smile. It is not, the smile is, if you see, it's very charming, a gentle smile. That is how Bhagavan smiles. So that charming, gentle smile, and that is that brightens the face, right? So Udara Manda Hasidasyanda Prasannannam. So Bhagavan's charming, gentle smile is brightening that face. Further, he says, Rajat Kambu Gada Ari Pangajadara Srimat Bhuja Mandalam. So now he's saying the form, the physical form of Guruvayoorappan, what Brahmadeva sees. That physical form is Rajat Kambu. It is with 4 divine arms. It has 4 holy arms. Bhuja Mandalam, Srimat Bhuja Mandalam means 4 divine holy arms. And what do they hold? These 4 arms bear Kambu, which is the shining conch. So it is Rajat Kambu. It is Bhagavan is holding a conch which is shining. So he's holding the conch which is shining. He's holding the Gada, which is the mace. Gada. In his other hand, he's holding Gada. In his next hand, he's holding the chakra, which is Ari. Ari means chakra. So Bhagavan is holding the Sudarshana chakra in his other hand. And he's holding Pangajadara. He's holding the lotus in his other arm. So this sequence, this is the same sequence of Guruvayoorappan. Guruvayoorappan also the same, if you see Guruvayoorappan's Rupam, it is also, Bhagavan is also holding the 4, with 4 arms, bearing the conch, the mace, the chakra and Padma. And that is the same Rupam that Brahmadeva is now witnessing at Vaikundam. And as Brahmadeva is witnessing it, Bhattathiri is also witnessing it at Guruvayur, looking at Guruvayurappan's idol. Bhattathiri is also witnessing it. He says, this Rupam, Srashtuhu Tushtigaram, this form, when Brahmadeva saw this form of Guruvayurappan, this form which gave great contentment and joy to Brahma. So Brahmadeva attained great joy and contentment and satisfaction because he saw this form of Guruvayurappan. Tava Vabuhu, this form. And again, Bhattacharya is ending this sloga with a prayer to Guruvayurappan, just like the last several slogas. He says, Mat Rogam Utvasayet. Because of this Rupam, which is what Brahmadeva is witnessing, and that same Rupam is what I am witnessing now at Guruvayur. Bhagavan, I am also in contentment and joy due to that. May you please remove my ailments. May that form of yours that I am witnessing, this form of Guruvayurappan that I am witnessing, may it remove my ailments, may it eradicate my ailments. That is the prayer with which Bhattacharya ends this sloga. Okay, so in the last two slogas, Bhattacharya was describing Bhagavan's Rupam that Brahmadeva saw at Vaikundam in slogas 7, in slogas 7 and 8. In the next two slogas, Bhattacharya further describes what Brahmadeva now requests to Bhagavan, that we will see in sloga 9 and 10. Going to sloga 9.
दृष्ट्वा सम्भृदसम्भ्रमकमलभूस्त्वत्पादपाधोरुहे हर्षावेशवशं वदो निपतितप्रीत्या कृतार्थी भवन् जानास्येव मनीषिदं मम विभो ज्ञानं तदापादय द्वैताद्वैतभवत्स्वरूपपरमित्याचष्टतं त्वां भजे. വൈകുണ്ഠമൂർത്തിയായ നിന്തിരുവടിയെ കണ്ടപ്പോൾ പരിഭ്രമത്തോടുകൂടി ബ്രഹ്മാവ് നിന്തിരുവടിയുടെ പാതാരവിന്ദത്തിൽ പരമാനന്ദ പരവശനായി വീണു നമസ്കരിച്ച് സന്തോഷിച്ച് കൃതാർത്ഥനായിട്ട് സർവാന്തര്യാമിയായ ഭഗവാനെ, എന്റെ ആഗ്രഹം നിന്തിരുവടി അറിയുന്നുണ്ട്, തീർച്ചയാണ്. പ്രപഞ്ചം, ബ്രഹ്മം എന്നു രണ്ടു വിധത്തിലുള്ള അവിടുത്തെ സ്വരൂപത്തെക്കുറിച്ച് ശരിയായ ജ്ഞാനം എനിക്ക് ഉണ്ടാക്കി തരണേ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. ആ നിന്തിരുവടിയെ ഞാൻ ഭജിക്കുന്നു.
So in this sloka, Bhattacharya is describing Brahmadeva after seeing Bhagavan. So Bhagavan first showed his Rupam, before having any conversation or any kind of interaction. First itself, Bhagavan showed his Rupam to Brahmadeva, and now Brahmadeva is having a conversation with Bhagavan, where Bhattacharya describes it. Here he says, Drishtva, on seeing Guruvayurappan in this Vaikunta form, in the Vaikunta Rupam, having had that vision of Guruvayurappan, Brahmadeva now, and here is the first time Bhattacharya addresses Brahmadeva as Sambrit Sambramaha Kamalabhuhu. Sambrit Sambramaha Kamalabhuhu. So Kamalabhuhu means the one who was born from a lotus. So Brahmadeva is born from a lotus, and that lotus originates from Bhagavan. We said this. This happens, after every 100 Brahma years, a new Brahma is born. So this is a never-ending process. This happens all the time, and each time Brahmadeva is originating from some limb of Bhagavan. We'll see that in the next coming Dashakams. It will be described there. So here it is described that Kamala Bhuhu, which means that Brahmadeva originated from a lotus. And this Brahmadeva now, he's now overwhelmed, he is now astonished, and he is now very excited because he now has seen Bhagavan's Rupam, and he is now overwhelmed with seeing that Rupam of Bhagavan. He's fully in excitement, he's in astonishment seeing that Rupam. What does he do now? On seeing the Rupam of Bhagavan, he Harsha Avesha Vashamvadaha, overflowing and overwhelmed ecstasy of joy. Again, he's overwhelmed with joy. He's now in full pure, he's experiencing that pure consciousness. Therefore, he's in that pure blissful state, and is overflowing with ecstasy of joy. With that he does Tvat Pada Padoruhe and Nibaditaha. Brahmadeva, he prostrates to Bhagavan's lotus feet. Tvat Pada Padoruhe at Bhagavan's lotus feet, Nimadidaha, Brahmadeva fell and prostrated. And he says, Pritya Kridarti Bhavan. And this now, Brahmadeva is now feeling that he has achieved he has fulfilled everything. He has seen Bhagavan, he has experienced Bhagavan, therefore he feels that he has achieved everything that he wanted. He's therefore full now. He doesn't have, that was his goal right now, earlier, right? He wanted to do a tabas to realize Bhagavan, which he has now achieved. So therefore he is feeling fulfilled, and because of the love and joy he's experiencing, seeing Bhagavan, so he feels Kridarti Bhavan, he feels fulfilled. And now Brahmadeva falls to Bhagavan's lotus feet, touches Bhagavan's lotus feet, and then he have a conversation with Bhagavan. He asks Bhagavan, he says, now Brahmadeva is now talking to Bhagavan. He says, Hey Vibho, O Lord, Manishidam Mama, my desire, Janasi Eva, thou dost surely know. So Bhagavan is the Andaratma of Brahmadeva and all beings. So Bhagavan knows what we all want. He knows our mind. He is there inside us. So he knows what we really need. So, and Brahmadeva now knows that. So he says, Manishidam Mama, my desire is, Brahmadeva has a desire to do creation. That is the purpose of his birth. And he has that desire to do creation. And Bhagavan knows it. And Brahmadeva knows that Bhagavan knows it. So he says, Janasi Eva, thou dost surely know. So there is no need for me to explain it, but you know it. And what is Brahmadeva saying? He says, Dvaida Advaida Bhavat Swarupa Param Jnanam Tat Abadaya. Give me that true knowledge, give me that real knowledge about Dvaida Advaida Bhavat Swarupa Param, about your dual and non-dual nature. You have a dual and the non-dual aspect of it, which is the universe and the Brahman. Give me that knowledge. And we'll see what this means, what the Dvaida Advaita means. But so Brahmadeva is praying to Guruvayoorappan with his hands on his lotus feet, prostrating. He is requesting Bhagavan to give me that knowledge about your dual and the non-dual nature of yours. And what is that? We'll see. Idi Ajashta, thus prayed Brahma. Brahmadeva just prayed to Bhagavan in this form. Tam Tvam Bhaje. And to that Bhagavan, to whom Brahmadeva asked this, to that Bhagavan I pray to. Bhattathiri is now saying, to that Bhagavan to whom Brahmadeva prayed to that Bhagavan I am also praying to. That is what Bhattathiri is saying in this sloka. So what is this Dvaida Advaitam? We have seen this several times in the last several Dashakams. Bhagavan is the Andaratma of all beings. In fact, the last Dashakam fully covered it. In the last Dashakam, in the Virat Purusha description, it was said that whatever we see around, all the beings that we see around, all experiences, every being in the universes that we know, all of it is Bhagavan only. And that knowledge is the Advaita Bhavam. That knowledge is that there is nothing else other than Bhagavan. That is Advaitam. What is Dvaitam? If you see the universe that is changing, and then there is, if you separate Bhagavan and the universe, that is Dvaitam. Dvaitam says there is Bhagavan, and then from Bhagavan comes the universe. Advaitam says there is Bhagavan and there is universe, but this universe and Bhagavan are all only one. There is nothing second to it. So there is not a separate universe, there is only Bhagavan. Now, why is Brahmadeva asking for both Dvaitam and Advaitam? We'll see that. So, Brahmadeva is the creator. He wants to do creation. In order to do creation, he needs to know everything in the universe. He needs to have the knowledge of every different thing in the universe, right? So there are animals, there are other beings, there are all trees, there are everything, the sea, the ocean, the other creatures, the planets. So in order to create them, he needs to know their true nature. All beings have a true nature, right? All of them have a vasana, they all have a true nature. And in that knowledge Brahmadeva should have to do creation. Only then Brahmadeva will be able to create that specific being, right? So that is the Dvaidam. He needs to know the difference between each being. That is the Dvaidam. So therefore he needs to know the dual nature of Bhagavan. So Bhagavan reflects in this universe, and that reflection of Bhagavan through his Maya, that universe that we are seeing, that is Dvaidam. But also Brahmadeva needs to know the Advaitam. What is Advaitam? Advaitam means he needs to know the non-dual aspect. So dual aspect, the difference he needs to know to do creation. But along with that, he should also know the non-dual aspect. What is the non-dual aspect? Non-dual aspect is that whatever we see as different, whatever we see in different names, in different forms, at different time periods, at different spaces, whatever we see as changing in different forms, they are all nothing but Bhagavan only. In fact, Bhagavan Narayana Guruvayurappa is the Antaryami of Brahmadeva, and he is the same Antaryami in all these beings around. That is the Advaita Bhava. So if Brahmadeva doesn't know that Advaita Bhavam, he will become bound by his own actions. If that knowledge is not there, he will think that he is the one who created everything, right? So he should also have this right knowledge that even though there are dualities around, in fact, they are all Bhagavan only. That is the Advaita Bhavam. So he needs to know both. For Brahmadeva, he needs to know both. He needs to know the duality for that so that he can do creation. He needs to also know the non-duality, the Advaita Bhavam, so that he knows that whatever we see around is Bhagavan only. And if he has that knowledge, the Advaita knowledge, he would then become bound. He will not be bound by his actions. He can perform his actions freely. He knows that these actions that I'm performing are flowing from Bhagavan only, and I'm offering these actions back to Bhagavan. So with that attitude, Brahmadeva will be able to perform creation. So that's why he needs to know both. He needs to know Dvaitam and Advaitam, and that is why Brahmadeva is requesting that to Bhagavan, Guruvayoorappan. So now in the last slogam, in 10th slogam, so Brahmadeva prayed to Bhagavan, to Guruvayoorappan, and what does Bhagavan say? That is described in the last slogam of Dashakam 7, going to the 10th sloka.
आदाम्रे चरणे विनम्रमथतं हस्तेन हस्ते स्पृशन् बोधस्ते भविता न सर्गविधिभिर्बन्धोऽपि सञ्जायते इत्याभाष्य गिरं प्रदोष्य नितरां तच्चित्तगूढस्वयं सृष्टौ तं समुदैरयः स भगवन्नुल्लासयोल्लाखता ഉടനെ ചുവന്ന തൃച്ചേവടിയിൽ വീണു നമസ്കരിച്ച ആ ബ്രഹ്മാവിനെ കൈകൊണ്ട് കൈക്ക് പിടിച്ച് എഴുന്നേൽപ്പിച്ചിട്ട് അങ്ങയ്ക്ക് ജ്ഞാനം ഉണ്ടായിക്കൊള്ളും, സൃഷ്ടിപ്രവർത്തികൾ കൊണ്ട് കർമ്മബന്ധം ഉണ്ടാവുകയുമില്ല എന്ന വാക്കു പറഞ്ഞ് ഏറ്റവും സന്തോഷിപ്പിച്ചിട്ട് തന്നെത്താൻ ആ ബ്രഹ്മാവിൻ്റെ മനസ്സിൽ ഒളിഞ്ഞിരുന്ന് ബ്രഹ്മാവിനെ സൃഷ്ടിക്ക് പ്രേരിപ്പിച്ചു. ഭഗവാനെ ആ നിന്തിരുവടി ആരോഗ്യം വർദ്ധിപ്പിച്ചു തരണേ.
So now in this last sloka of Dashakam 7, Bhattathiri is describing Bhagavan's response to Brahmadeva. Brahmadeva, as we know in the last sloka, Brahmadeva is now is in prostration to Bhagavan and is praying to Bhagavan that give me that right knowledge of both the your Dvaita form and your Advaita form, which is Bhagavan's Nirguna form as Brahman and Saguna form that we see around. Both that knowledge is required for Brahmadeva to do creation. Give me that knowledge. He prayed to Bhagavan. So what does Bhagavan say to Brahmadeva? That is described here. He says, Ada, then, Adamre Charane, at thy crimson feet, Bhagavan's feet, the lotus feet of Bhagavan, which is crimson, which is reddish in color, the crimson feet of Bhagavan, Vinamram Tam, Brahmadeva, who is now with humbleness, who had prostrated to Bhagavan. So Brahmadeva is in complete surrender to Bhagavan. Brahmadeva now knows that this Bhagavan is my creator and I am not at all different from this Bhagavan, right? So with that devotion, Brahmadeva has now prostrated to Bhagavan and he has offered himself. That is the surrender here. He has offered himself to Bhagavan, and therefore he has humbly offered himself to Bhagavan with devotion and love. So Vinamram Tam, so Brahmadeva. To that Brahmadeva, Bhagavan, what does he do? Bhagavan, Hastena Haste Sprishan. He touched Brahmadeva's hands with his. So he is now he's trying to lift Brahmadeva or bring him up. And for that, Bhagavan touches Brahmadeva's hands with his hand. So he has the sparsham of Bhagavan now. Hastena Haste Sprishan, touching his hands with thine. Bhagavan now says to Brahmadeva, what does he say? He says, Bodha te bhavida. Bhagavan said, you will have that knowledge. The knowledge that you asked for, the Dvaidam and Advaidam Bhavam of mind, so that you know creation and also so that you know your own true nature and why you are doing this creation. That is the right knowledge that you need now. Bhagavan said, you will have that knowledge. Sarga vidibhi, and by the act of creation, since you're going to do now creation, bandha abhina sanjayade. There will be no bondage happening. You will not be bonded to the karmas that you are doing. So when we do karma, we have to do it as a service to Bhagavan. So that bhavam, bhavam will be there to Brahmadeva. That is what Bhagavan is blessing him. So you will have the knowledge to do creation, and as you create, you will not be bonded to that. There will be no bondage happening. So you will understand that this karma that you are doing is coming from me only, and you are doing it for me. And after you do it, you will be giving it back to me. So that knowledge is there for you. That is Bhagavan is blessing Brahmadeva with that knowledge. So Bhagavan says, you will have that knowledge and you will not become bound by the act of creation. And Bhagavan further says, or Bhattathiri further says, after Bhagavan gave this statement to Brahmadeva, Idi Abhashya Giram, uttering these words. Now, once Bhagavan blessed Brahmadeva saying these words, Brahmadeva is extremely happy. He got the darshan of Bhagavan. Bhagavan also now blessed him to do creation. So Brahmadeva is therefore now extremely happy. So he says, Idi Abhashya Giram, uttering these words, Pradoshya Nidaram, making Brahmadeva extremely happy. Bhagavan now made Brahmadeva extremely happy. Tat Chitta Gudaswayam. Now Bhagavan himself remained concealed in Brahmadeva. So even though Brahmadeva is going to do creation, who is actually doing it? It is Bhagavan only. Bhagavan is using Brahmadeva as a tool. So all of us, we operate in the world. We are all operating with Bhagavan's prompting. So that is the meaning here. So Brahmadeva is now going to do creation, but it is Bhagavan who is inside Brahmadeva who is going to do the creation. So Tat Chitta Gudaswayam. In Brahmadeva's heart, Bhagavan is remaining concealed. Bhagavan remains concealed in Brahmadeva, and through that Bhagavan is prompting him to create. Srishtau tam samuddairaha. Srishtau tam samuddairaha. Bhagavan is prompting Brahmadeva to create by remaining in his own heart. Bhagavan entered Brahmadeva's heart. He is the Antaryami in all of us. And remaining concealed there, he is prompting Brahmadeva to do creation from now on. And he has blessed Brahmadeva so that you will have that knowledge to do creation, and also that you will not be bound by your actions. You will not be bound by the act of creation that you're going to do. That was the blessing that Bhagavan gave to Brahmadeva. So in these last several slokas, Bhattathiri was describing the situation of Brahmadeva where he originated, and he had the vision. And now at the end of this sloka, Bhattathiri now brings it back to Guruvayoorappan with a prayer like this last several slokas. So he says, Hey Bhagavan, O Lord, that thou, who in this last several slokas as Bhattathiri described, who created Brahmadeva. Brahmadeva is Bhagavan's own son, who prompted Brahmadeva by giving him the Ashariri. He prompted Brahmadeva to do tabas. And after Brahmadeva did his own effort with devotion, you showed him your Vaigunda Rupam. Bhagavan, but Brahmadeva had the realization of his true nature. Further, you showed him, your Dhamam, Vaigundam, and Brahmadeva was able to prostrate to you. And then Bhagavan himself touched Brahmadeva and blessed him that you are able to do creation. So Bhagavan did all these activities for his son. Bhagavan's son is Brahmadeva, and all these were Bhagavan's own Leela. So Bhagavan's Leela, which was shown to Brahmadeva in this way, Bhattathiri is now praying, I am also your son. I am also here suffering. So he is now making a prayer to Guruvayoorappan. He says, Hey Bhagavan, a Lord, Sa, that thou who did all this to impress your son, or who did all this to reveal to your own son Brahmadeva, that you Ullasaya Ullakadam, you deign to haste my recovery. O Guruvayoorappa, you did all this for Brahmadeva. Please also with mercy, I am requesting you mercifully grant me also a swift recovery, because Bhattathiri is also suffering. and he's also intensely praying to Guruvayurappan. And he knows that Brahmadeva, who was also in a similar situation, received his guidance and blessings. So he's now praying to Guruvayurappan that I also receive that grace of yours. Mercifully grant me a swift recovery. That is the prayer that Bhattathiri is now asking to Guruvayurappan. So in the last several slokas and in this Dashakam, which is a very divine Dashakam, Bhattadiri described Brahmadeva's origin, his vision of Vaikundam, and how Bhagavan blessed Brahmadeva to do creation. All that was described in this Dashakam, Dashakam 7. In the next Dashakams, Dashakam 8, 9, 10, it is all about creation. So, but Bhattadiri further continues the state of Brahmadeva. He also talks about specific instances of Brahmadeva when he does creation. And in Dashakam 9, he goes into more details of what happened during creation. So we'll see all that in our next coming slokas, sessions. Now, also the next Dashakam, Dashakam 8 is a very, very divine Dashakam with very beautiful slokas, very divine slokas, especially the 13th sloka of Dashakam 8, which is something we will see again in our next sessions. So with that, we end our session today. We end our session on Dashakam 7. If there were any mistakes, we humbly apologize to Bhagavan, to Guruvayurappan, and to everyone who has joined. We offer this session at the lotus feet of our Punya Guruvayurappan. Narayana Ghila Guru Bhagavan Namaste Guruvayurappa.